Hello, hello. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this first episode of What's on Your Mind. Now, the show has been around for a couple of years now, but it's the first time that I'm joining the Feel Good Talk family. And so I'm so excited to be here. My name is Nimade Belu, or That African Butterfly, if you follow me on any of my social media. A little bit about myself: I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot in the social media world and also with training. And I do mental health advocacy and just a whole hodgepodge of different things. And also do a lot doing lives for different topics and for different organizations as well. So I'm really excited today about my first guest. Now, What's on Your Mind? This is a series that I started a few years ago, as I mentioned on my Instagram page, where I just talk to people both in the mental health field and also in different fields that impact our mental health. Because just like we all have physical health, we all have mental health. It's a part of our life, whether it's something we think about actively or passively. So it opens it up to talking about a whole plethora of topics because almost everything impacts our mind. And so my first guest today is someone who I had the pleasure of talking with last week on her show. Today I have with me Miss Kendra Moore. Hi, Kendra.
Hello, I'm super excited to be on your show. Yes, and thank you. It's an honor to be your first guest on the Feel Good Talk platform.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I had such a fun time on your show talking with the two of you. So I'm really happy to do this crossover. I
Yes,
felt like it was a good
yes,
way to intro
yeah.
in.
It won't be the last time.
Absolutely not. And you come to us with quite a lot of experience. We're going to talk a little bit about your aromatherapy and natural
Mhm.
work. But first, can you just introduce yourself? Tell everybody a little bit about you.
Sure. So my name is Kendra Moore. I reside in Orlando, Florida. One son, well, two sons if you count my dog, and because they're like a 2-year-old. So I'm a certified certified aromatherapist, a certified essential oils coach. I champion for natural wellness. So, however, people can incorporate it into their lives, especially when it comes around like to our home and environmental factors. So I like to teach people on how to use natural wellness in terms of the things that you have right in your home that you can use to create all types of body care products, personal care products, hair care products, skin care products, and household products as well. And then, talking about the effects that harmful chemicals have on your mind and your body.
And I think that that's something that people don't really think about a lot. There's so many things that we're just given to use. Um, and we just use it without really thinking about it, without thinking of the after impacts of those different items we use. So I love that you really come to it from like a holistic
Yes,
viewpoint.
yes. And I tell people, don't be intimidated by it. Like, you don't have to have every single thing in your house. If you can just do a little bit at a time, and everything from, and we can talk more about this, but everything from air fresheners to carpets to all kinds of things. I think what surprised me when I got into this topic is that when we think of governmental agencies, for example, like the FDA, right? And we look at the products on the shelves, a lot of us, and I did too until I did research on it, we assume that those products are safe because we know that they have to be tested and, like in our minds. And I
Mhm.
think in our minds, we think like, oh, here's this deodorant. Okay, it's got to be tested before it's put on the shelf to make sure it's safe. That actually is not the case. For the majority of your personal care products, the government really depends on the company to provide the information to say that this is safe. And this is why this counts for a lot of food as well. Now, of course, there are blatant things that you can't put in products, but that's why a lot of times you'll see. I think last year, 2 years ago, Walmart actually had a room spritzer. Like you spritz with for aromatherapy,
Hmm.
and it had stones at the bottom. Well, they ended up pulling it off the shelves because 3 people died from
Oh
actually
my
using
goodness.
those room spritzers. Because with the stones, and they don't know where it came from, but it bred like mold, right? And
Wow.
so, you spritz it, person inhaled it, and then that's what happened. There was a case recently with a name brand deodorant, and they have like the spray, like the aerosol, that was
Hmm.
causing a lot of skin issues to the point where they had to pull it off the shelf. So, one thing, my passion is really around just letting you be more aware. So, when you go to the grocery store or whatever products that you decide to use, that you really think about it and not just go into this automatic thing. Realize what you're buying and protect yourself and your family as much as possible. I mean, it's not going to be 100% unless you live in a bubble.
Right. And I mean, I think that for a lot of us, it sounds great, right? Like let's change it up. Let's be all natural. Let's do all those things. But like you mentioned, it can feel overwhelming sometimes thinking about
Well,
those change. And I don't know. So like if someone wants to sort of go towards that holistic or all natural, what would you suggest be like the first either baby steps or the first things to change that would really make the most impact, beneficial impact?
yeah, the first thing I would say is skincare, because your skin is really the barrier to, helping to prevent things to get into your bloodstream, right? And in order for your skin to be healthy, it needs to be moisturized. So that's good. But also, when you look at the back of whether it's lotions, suntan lotions, whether it's sunblock, those types of things, and you see the ingredients in there. Those ingredients a lot of times they harm your body over the long haul. So I think that's one, and then especially with these fragrant, all the different fragrances. So when you look on the back of a lotion and it says cherry, and you're like, oh yeah, I love the smell of cherry, I'm going to put it on. Well, cherry actually does not have an essential oil. So you are actually using and it can literally have like hundreds of chemicals in that one line on the back of the product where it says fragrance,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
So
Yeah.
it'll say fragrance, but in that fragrance categories are hundreds of chemicals that are in there in order for it to get that smell. So I would say your skincare product from a body perspective, from an environmental perspective, because I do think we have to think about both of those things. Get rid of these toxic air fresheners. And
Mm.
I am talking about the plug-in air fresheners. I'm talking about Lysol. I'm talking about these commercial aerosol sprays. And you can go and do your own research. If you type in like harmful, I think if you type in like most dangerous chemicals in your household, uh, air fragrances will come up every
Mm.
single time on multiple credited websites. So they've done
Wow.
a study and they have found that these air fresheners actually are releasing, a lot of them have carcinogens in them. And for those who are not aware, carcinogens, they basically over time can result in your body having cancer. So
Mm.
I would definitely get rid of those things and use all natural fragrances. And we can talk about, I mean, that's really easy. Like I have, for example, my label here says like just smell good. So this
Mhm.
is like just a spray bottle, add water, add whatever essential oil that you like. And then you can add a little bit of like maybe a little bit of vodka just to help mix it up,
Mhm.
or witch hazel, and then spray it, and then you have your all natural. So there's many solutions
Yeah.
that you can use, but those are the top two.
That's good news to know. I gotta admit though, like, oh my, I went like this while you were talking because the cherries, first of all, like that Japanese cherry blossom is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
my favorite, like casual everyday smell. And then I have one of those like Glade automatic
yes,
spray that does like every
yes.
30 minutes. I'm like, oh no, her
Well,
top three things.
if you notice, a lot of these fragrance companies now it'll say, oh, it has this essential oil in it. So you
Mm,
can, but when you look on the back, it's essential oil and a whole bunch of other stuff.
So we want to look for the
So
fragrance where it says
yeah,
fragrance.
yeah.
Okay.
So even if it says essential oil, unless that's the only thing and it's natural, maybe that water and an emulsifier,
Hmm.
everything else, it just kind of like negates it. But yeah, I know a lot of people use it. I used to use it all the time, especially if you have respiratory issues. So my son, he had respiratory issues, and that's kind of what started me on this journey. And once
Hmm.
I started making these changes, I mean, his issues just like really dissipated to nothing. So, but it's just things that we don't think of,
Yeah.
candles and incense, some incense, a lot of cheap incense. Um,
Yeah.
so those are the things we got to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, you mentioned skin being a way that we get a lot of things in, but also through our sense of smell. And aromatherapy is one of those things that I think has taken off more. People are very into like the different aromatherapy scents, and it definitely can be good for making things smell well, but it's also great for our mental health. Like it can impact our mental
Yes.
health as well. Like, can you tell me some ways that aromatherapy can impact our mental health?
Yes, I will. And then you also, since we're talking mental health, and I was talking about the physical things, also realize that a lot of these chemicals do harm your mental health because they impact your brain and the way that it operates. I don't know if you've ever driven or been in an area that has a lot of I don't know, almost like a dump, and that smell is just always
Mhm.
around. That's
Yes.
we don't realize it, but that's stressful for our bodies and our brains. These what they're called volatile organic compounds, and these are very small molecules that actually are in things such as carpets and couches and all kinds of things. You can Google that as well, and a lot of information will come up on that. But some of those compounds can actually penetrate what's called the blood brain barrier. So
Hmm.
if you think about, there's almost like a net protecting your brain, but only really tiny things can penetrate that. And once it penetrates it over time, and I think that's a lot of the dangerous part is that we don't realize over time we're doing the air sprays, we live in these toxic environments, we go outside, and especially black and brown neighborhoods are notorious for being built in areas where the air is just not the cleanest, right?
Yeah.
You got the dumpsters, you got the factories, you got this, that, and the other, and that all plays a role. So for the essential oils, the way that you can use that in place of, I already talked about creating a room spray. You can do that. The other thing that I love is my essential oil diffuser. And this is something that basically what you do is you add water to the inside, and whatever, sorry, it's white on white here. So you add water in the inside, and all of them have a fill level. You fill it up, you add your essential oil drops, and then you put it on. And that mixes the molecules of the essential oils with the water and dissipates it in the air. That's what I would recommend. So
How
depending
long does that usually last?
it depends on the diffuser.
Okay.
So diffusers have different, and they'll all have the how long it lasts. You can get some that last like 12. I think maybe the most that I've seen is like 12 or 14 hours.
Okay.
But the good thing is that a lot of times I'll turn on my diffuser maybe for about 20 minutes, and the smell is there. Turn it off, and it's still there for a
Mhm.
long time. So you don't have to constantly run it. The essential oils that you would use to help with your mental health and wellness, it depends on the situation, right? So we know there's a lot of conditions. If you're experiencing a lot of stress, I recommend like lavender. That's something that's very popular. It's good to help you sleep. Chamomile actually has an essential oil as well. If you're looking for, a lot of times, we're tired. We need that mental boost in the middle of our day or in the mornings. So I like using citrus. So I have orange essential oil, lemon essential oil. You can also use peppermint or spearmint, to kind of like wake you up. So those are some of the ones that I use. And then if in terms of mental, um, like feeding your mental self, if you're stressed out all the time and you need really good grounding, so then that's when I would look for essential oils such as cedarwood. I think I have cedarwood, I have sandalwood, frankincense, myrrh. So those are great, especially if you practice meditation or prayer. Those really kind of help invoke those feelings. And you can blend the essential oils as well. So you don't just have to use them one at a time. So that's what I would recommend oil wise.
What would you recommend for us who are dealing with the winter blues? I mean, I medically have SAD, seasonal affective disorder, but
Yeah.
in general, people have just the winter blues. It's dreary. I don't know about down in Florida, but up here it's been raining. It's going to keep
We don't have the
raining.
winter blues. I hate to say. Our winter blues are people complaining when it's like 50 degrees for more than 3 days in a row. They're like, we have a
Right.
cold front coming in. I'm like, no, this is not a cold front, people, but okay.
No, it's cold up here. But what essential
Um,
oils can people mix up to help with that?
for the winter blues, I would definitely do citrus oils, grapefruit, orange, lemon, tangerine. Those are such, like, they just bring joy and they really just help to brighten. So that's what I would use. Now, one thing, essential oils have a little bit more of an immediate impact. There's other natural things that you can use in the long term. So when you're thinking about like living in Delaware and winter freaking lasts forever, right? Like 3 months or now
Yeah.
4 months. Consider also teas.
Mm, I'm a
Teas
tea
are
lover.
also very good to help just kind of like calm down.
Mhm.
One thing, let's see, I'll talk about that one later. So I have here actual, these are chamomile flowers,
Mm,
and you can get chamomile tea bags, but I also work with a lot of herbs.
yeah.
And so chamomile, again, really great for insomnia, um, and just for calming. But the other thing that a lot of us don't know about are adaptogens. So I don't know how many people
Could you explain that
are
a little bit more?
so adaptogens are compounds that basically help your body to regulate stress.
Mm,
So, sometimes when we're stressed, we overreact to things, right? And that's because our body is just like, on level 10 and we need it to be on like level 5. And so it just helps with that regulation. Now there's adaptogens, mushrooms are adaptogens, especially like lion's mane and things like that. So that's
mm,
good. But you can also have herbs, dandelion root. Like I love making dandelion root tea. But you can also find the tea bags in the store.
yeah.
That's really good. A good adaptogen. Here I have a blend of different, of different herbs, but this, you can make it as a tea. You can make it as like a coffee. Um, it's really good. So what I want to say about the teas and the adaptogens in comparison to the essential oils is that for someone like yourself who really kind of struggles in the winter month, you want to like have a couple of cups a day. So
Mm,
it's not as much as an immediate fix as, so that's more long term because your body's got to get regulated. You're not going to just drink it and then all of a sudden, you know,
like rainbows.
the calming of drinking warm tea is always calming.
Yeah.
But, if we're talking about regulating the emotions, it's going to take a little bit of time. I would say like 4 or 6 weeks of
Mm.
being consistent.
That's good to know because I think a lot of times people think they can just make the change and feel it and boom, there it is. But even with prescription medicine, they tell you it takes a week or a couple of
Yeah.
weeks for it to get in your system. So it makes sense that natural things would be the same way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's one of the challenges people have with natural when it comes to health and mental wellness in terms of, oh, I want to see the immediate impact. But it's like, no, because actually what it's doing is it's nourishing your body. It's trying to get your body to become balanced. Whereas a lot of the prescription medications, they work faster because they've actually targeted, for example, the compound in mushroom, and that's like, okay, inject this and boom. And I understand a lot of people are attracted to that. may not be the healthiest always, but
Which makes sense. It's why the side effects list is just as long as
yeah,
the things that it takes care of.
exactly, 100%.
I love that you mentioned like the lavender and the chamomile because sleep is so important for mental health, especially for me. Like when my depression is kicking in, my insomnia also kicks in. Like I notice it, like I'm just up, and then the less sleep you get, the harder it is to function. It's just like this vicious wheel. So what are some really good natural ways? I know you mentioned a little bit about the aromatherapy and some teas, but what are some other really good natural ways to help with insomnia or help with sleep?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm going to mention one tea, even though I just talked about because I brought it because I knew sleep was going to come up. So sleep actually is just such a precious resource, and a lot of us don't realize. And I think because we're just in this go 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 culture, that
Mm-hmm.
our body actually heals when we are sleeping. So our brain, they actually have done a study, and your brain actually heals, and all of the synapses that are firing off, all like the cells that we have, trillions of cells that die every day, those are being replenished during your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So sleep is really, really important. Um, and so this is actually verbena tea. This tea is actually really, and you can see like it's actually an herb. I'm saying tea, but it's actually an herb.
Yeah.
So if you can find those tea bags, this tea actually works faster. Like
Okay.
this, people drink it and you kind of get tired. The other thing I would say, of course, is meditation. There's exercises where you can do where you really tense up your body when you're laying in the bed, and then you release, and you do that about 5 or 6 times. And what that does is it's actually sending a signal to your all of your body saying, okay, it's time to like relax. So you almost like you start with your hands, and then you try to tense up your arms, and then you do your shoulders, like you do it in pieces, and just tense, hold it, and then let it go. And so that's something that helps. The other natural things I think are things that we've heard when it comes to sleep. Cooler temperatures in your bedroom helps you to sleep. I personally do not have a TV in my bedroom.
Mm.
That's a big no.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can benefit from that because that blue light before you go to sleep, and especially if you have a partner and you're trying to sleep and they're watching television, you're not getting good sleep. And a lot of people fall asleep with the TV on. And even though you're sleeping, your brain is still kind of active there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I would say it's not necessarily magic or fancy. It's just we've gotten used to convenience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. And we like to indulge in our conveniences, and that's not always the healthiest.
Absolutely. What about when we need to calm down but stay awake? Because I mean, sleep is wonderful, but some of us have like that daytime anxiety, going out, doing things. What are some good ways to calm down either before with like aroma or during the moment to help
Yeah.
in that calmness?
You know what? A really quick thing that I do. So two things. One, you can create. This is my essential oil blend here, and this is like a meditative blend. You can go to Amazon, for example, big box store. Get you an essential oil roller.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can get a pack of rollers because I have one that's more like a meditative one, but I have one that's more of like a mood brightening too, right? So get a couple, and then you're going to add in here a carrier oil such as coconut oil or jojoba oil. Those two I would recommend.
Now, do
Grapeseed
you mind
oil.
me asking really quick, like what is a carrier oil? Like what does that mean?
Yeah. So a carrier oil, how can I explain? So carrier oils tend to come from nuts and seeds,
Mm-hmm.
whereas your essential oils are coming from different pieces of a plant or a tree.
Okay.
So that's one way to distinguish it. Carrier oils tend not to have such a vibrant smell. So for essential oils, when you open up an essential oil and you smell like immediately, as soon as you open up, you can smell it. Those are the molecules of the oils just kind of jumping out.
Mm, okay.
Carrier oils, they're like it's thicker and heavier. So that's really the difference. Avocado oil would be a carrier oil, for
Mm.
example. Olive oil, you can use olive oil. That's a carrier. So
Okay.
if you think about those types of oils, that would be your. And what they do, the reason why you use them, especially with essential oils, are twofold. Some people's skin are super sensitive to essential oils, so it helps to dilute it. On
Mm.
top of that, what it does is it, because essential oils, their molecules are so light, it evaporates really quickly. So when you put it on your skin, it doesn't stay as long. There's one thing to have the smell. There's another thing to actually have the oil to seep into your skin.
Okay.
So, for example, if I want to use lavender for stress reduction, right? I would add this, I would add a little bit of carrier oil, I would rub it together, and then just give yourself like a nice massage. Massage around your neck, massage around your heart. Put it on the bottoms of your feet because your skin is thicker there. So it takes longer time for the oils to kind of seep in. So you get more longevity out of that. So that's what I would do. So I would do a roller bottle. They have some pre-made. You can also get some from my website at more-life.com. I have these rollers. But that's what I would do.
Mhm. No, those are great suggestions. Now, when we think about aromatherapy, I feel like sometimes when we think about all natural things, people think like, oh, because it's all natural, it's all good, it's all great, I can use as much as I want, or blah, 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 and there's no downsides. But there's downsides to anything. So, what are some precautions that people should take when using aromatherapy?
Yeah, so when you're using aromatherapy, what you should do is you do like a little patch test. So if it's your first time using an oil, again, you're going to take, let's say you have olive oil in your kitchen, right? Um, Olive oil to me is kind of really heavy, but you can use it. Or if you had coconut oil, because I think a lot of people, coconut oil is pretty popular. You would take that and you would put it maybe on the inside of your elbow, just mix it together and just a little dab and put it there and let it sit for like 10 minutes and see if you have a reaction. It is very rare to have a reaction, but some people do, especially oils. I remember one lady, she was trying to get rid of acne, which peppermint can help with. And she used peppermint oil. And then she came to me because her skin was basically had burned, like as if she was burned.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, peppermint is like a super strong oil, and she didn't dilute it. She didn't do, and she has sensitive skin.
Mm.
So it's a good point. Just
Yeah.
because it's all natural doesn't mean that it does not have any harmful effects.
Yes. Thank
Um,
you for, yeah, I think that's important to know.
yeah,
And so I have another question, and then I'm going to go to some viewer questions in a
sure.
minute. So for us, I think sometimes people also think that, that all or nothing, like if I'm going all natural, then I have to, um, forsake medicine, or if I do medicine, then I can't do all natural. But like there are ways to use them together to
Yeah.
use the natural aromatherapy and the medicine. Like how would you suggest people combine the two of them in a way that gives them optimal help with their mental health?
You know, I will say this, it depends on the condition, right? So let's start simple. For myself, if I have a headache, and I don't suffer with migraines. I know some people suffer with migraines. So I'm talking about a regular stress type of headache. Um, a lot of people will, of course, reach for Tylenol and ibuprofen and stuff. For me, that is my body telling me that I am overstressed. Turn off the lights, close your eyes for about 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes I may take an oil. Sorry, my alarm's going off. I may take an oil. Like, for example, I have this is one of my favorite oils. It's called German chamomile, and it's a beautiful blue
Mm.
color. And I just like that, take some deep breaths, turn off the lights, close my eyes, and just zone out. And you will be surprised if we just let our bodies relax and listen to our body, which instead of all the time trying to shove stuff to it,
Mm.
in it, we will be surprised how our body reacts. So that's one thing. Now, there are certain things such as cuts, bruises, Burns, essential oils are great for. Natural remedies are great for. Even some sprains, you have herbs that you can use that. Certainly, if you have a chronic condition, then you need to be mindful. And what I would suggest is you have your meds that you need to take. Let's say diabetes, for example. Take your diabetes medicine. Also, know that you need to change your diet, exercise, start incorporating some herbs that are great at regulating blood sugar. Adaptogens are good at that. Um, and then, like, slowly just work it in. And some people are able to completely go off their medicine, but I think you have to be, yeah, you have to, it depends on the condition. If you have a heart condition, you need to take those pills, take the pills. That said, you do have a lot of physicians now that specialize both in being a naturopathic medicine doctor, which is something that you do have to go to extensive schooling for, and a regular, what we would say, Western physician. So ideally, you would have a doctor like that that can kind of guide you through the process. And I'm talking for like serious conditions.
Mm.
But for your run of the mill headaches, for menstrual cramps, for, I don't know, like I said, cuts, bruises, burns, those kind of things, a lot of times natural medicines can do it.
Cool. I love that. And I like that, like you mentioned, there are some doctors who are doing both, because I think that there's a space for both. Or maybe it's just my love of kumbaya. I just want,
Yeah.
that's all
Well,
the
and when you talk about mental health and wellness, I think that's true too for mental health and wellness. Like, certainly, if you should be going to therapy, because a lot of us don't take advantage of therapy, go to therapy. I know therapists that actually incorporate essential oils in their therapy practices.
Mm.
So, you definitely can do both. It's not one or the other, but especially for mental health and wellness, go get you some therapy. Also, do all the things that we were talking about. I mean, it's nothing is a magic pill.
Right, right.
So you gotta, yeah.
And it's like it's all partnerships. That one thing helps the
Mm-hmm.
other.
Mm-hmm.
So no, this has been such a great conversation. I've loved talking to you about this, and I'm sure that the people watching have some questions as well. So I want to get to those. We should have them across the bottom in just a moment. Hello from Charles. Hi, Charles. Oh,
Good
you did.
evening, Chuck.
Oh, Aunt Debbie stopped by.
Hi, Aunt Debbie. No, we love you. Thank you for stopping.
Thank you for joining us. What about dryer sheets?
Dryer sheets are not my preference. I hate those freaking commercials where it's like, put in this dryer sheet and your clothes will smell great for 2 weeks. Okay, why is your clothes smelling great for 2 weeks? Well, because it's all of those chemicals in the dryer sheets. They're on your clothes. Then where is it going? On your body.
Mm.
So I don't do dryer sheets. Now, there are some all natural. You will have to like Amazon it, big box store. There are some all natural dryer sheets. You can do that. Sometimes what I will do, dryer sheets help to remove static. So you can get those wool balls that you see in the store. You can get them fairly cheap at Marshall's, Home Goods, Ross, and use those dryer balls. And some of them you can even add essential oil fragrance on top and put it in there. So that's what I would recommend for the dryer sheets. But I'm a big no for dryer sheets.
Okay. Which makes sense. I never really thought about it that way, that it does stay on your clothes and then it's on you.
The other thing, real quick, before we go to that, I feel the same way about dishwashing liquid and dishwashing tablets.
Okay.
I don't use them. I only use the plant-based ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because you notice when you use your conventional tablets in your dishwasher and you open up the drawer and you have that smell. Okay, you have that smell. Guess where that smell is? The smell is on your plates, on your forks, on your things. What are you doing? You're putting your food on it and you're eating off of it. So these are the things that what happens is as much as we can reduce, that's why I keep saying that, because our bodies actually have what's called a toxic load.
Mm.
you'd be surprised how toxic we are just because of our daily habits. As much as we can reduce our toxic load, then the better for us mentally and physically.
Yeah, that
But
makes a lot of sense. Are there any other over-the-counter natural products you'd suggest? Cleaners,
you
lotion?
know, I like gosh, is there? I can't think of a. The only one commercial one I can think of is that there's like a lot of commercial natural deodorants.
Mm.
For cleaners, Target actually has. Oh, okay. If you wait right there, I think I actually might have it. A cleaner
Okay.
thing. Hold on. Hold on. Do I have one?
Well, if he gets that, I'll read a comment. This doesn't throw you off too much, Chuck. Natural medicines are so underrated. People don't understand. Medicine comes from the earth, has been formatted and tested. Some of their things to be discovered accidentally. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually don't have it. In Target, they actually have, there are some natural products, and you can get it online too, where they're tablets, and you just drop it into your cleaners. But yeah, I find a lot of my natural stuff at mom and pop stores, and I
Mm,
love supporting mom and pop stores. So
yeah.
I would say check out your local mom and pop stores for that.
Oh, perfect. Okay, next question. Should I dump my? Yeah, I think Deborah. I
Yes.
think the sad news is we've been told we have to dump our auto sprayer.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
heartbroken about it too. But she did mention that we could get a diffuser and put in some essential oils in that, and sometimes they can go. You said for up to 12 hours. So
Yeah, yeah. And again, you don't even need to run it for 12 hours. Once it kind of your house gets the scent, you're usually like, "Oh, okay, I'm good." And then if anyone's interested in essential oil diffusers, just reach out to me and I can get it for you.
are there some essential oils that are great for your mood? Just a mood booster. I know we talked a little bit about
Yeah.
citrus. Was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, those are your citrus oils and your oils such as peppermint and rosemary.
Mm.
Yeah.
Isabel said, I love diffuser, but my nose is super sensitive. What
Mm.
essential oils can I use that's not strong?
I would say, in my opinion, chamomile is really light. So I would try chamomile. Some people don't like the smell of lavender because lavender can have like a heavier smell,
Mm.
but I would go with chamomile. I would also stay away. A lot of times, your floral essential oils, they're very pretty, but they tend to be stronger, like rose essential
Mm.
oil.
Yeah,
Um,
jasmine.
you know,
Mm.
those types of oils.
What classifies an essential oil to be pure?
For pure essential oils, so that's a great question. A lot of times in the stores, you will see a label that says pure essential oils. There are no classifications for pure essential oils.
Mm.
You can have, so the FDA is not regulating that to see if it's actually pure. In other words, technically, you can have, I think it's either like between 4 and 6% of an essential oil in a bottle
That's it?
and everything else be like another oil or something else to kind of like trick you. And that can be labeled as pure essential oil. So my recommendation is, there's the name brand oils like Young Living, doTERRA. There's some other ones, but just do a quick Google search on your phone, look up the brand of the oil and read. And I usually like going to the About Us so I can see where are they getting their oils from, how are they being harvested. The more reputable and like pure essential oil companies like True Pure, they're very proud of that. And
Mm.
so they will usually have a good write up on that. And that makes you feel better.
And then, so the difference between body oils and essential oils, can you explain that?
Yeah, body oils are typically just like we said earlier, they're like a carrier oil that has a blend of essential oils in it, and then you just rub it on your body. So that's usually most of your body oils will have like maybe it's like an avocado oil, and then it's a blend of different fragrances. Sometimes people use essential oils, but sometimes you can actually go online and get fragrances. So they don't have to be essential oils. So just because it says body oil doesn't mean that it's a natural oil.
Got it.
You can scent it with fragrances as well.
Good to know. Good to know. Oh, thank you.
Love from Izzy.
Thank you. The increase in neurological, autoimmune, and cancer diseases connected to the everyday chemicals and products, forever chemicals. It makes a lot of sense. I think something that you said that really stood out is the price we're paying for convenience, right? Like
Yeah,
all of the things that you're mentioning that are harmful for us are also things that we have grown to enjoy the convenience of
yeah,
because it makes life easier or it lasts longer and we have to do
yeah.
things less. And we are essentially paying for that convenience with our health.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you hear people say, well, especially the older generation, I don't remember this many people dying of cancer. I don't remember this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, because back in the day, they didn't have all those chemicals. Like their stuff was like super pure. And now
Hmm.
we have the plastic containers, which I have some, I just try not to buy the, BPA free and phthalate free. And, I try to do my due diligence, but yeah, we pay for it.
Absolutely. I was actually just watching a documentary the other day for called "What's Your Health," and one
Yeah,
of the things that they mentioned is that like as far as our diets and nutrition in this country, like we're overfed but under nutrients because we have so much food and so many things that we're taking in that aren't actually like you said pure and that are actually like nutrients based. It's all chemicals and it's just slowing everything down.
yeah. Thank you, Izzy.
As you said,
Um,
I've known Kendra for years and I learned something new every time. For fragrance, I just tested different brands until I found what worked best for my nose. Now, I do want to ask you because I feel like something that people always give a reason for why they don't go all natural is like the length of time that it lasts on you or like the potency, like especially like
yeah,
all natural deodorants and things like that. Like, what do you, how do you use those or how do you combat those?
yeah. I use them. I make them. The different formulations. You have to keep trying different ones, is what I tell people. Well, there's two things. One, the first thing is when you start using a natural deodorant, a lot of times your body will detox underneath your armpits
Mm,
because your armpits have those sweat glands and your hormone glands are underneath there and they've been fed and they've been blocked as well. So you can actually find some, I think it's called armpit detoxifiers
mm,
that you can use. But and then also highly depends on your diet. If you have less of a healthy diet, when you go and start using natural deodorant, your body is going to like be spewing out
mm,
all kinds of stuff. So it's not
mm.
going to be smelling great at first. So that's one thing. So that can and can't, may happen. The other thing is all the formulations are really different. Like you literally have to find the one that works for you. And once you find that one, stick with it.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend.
Breast cancer is linked to aluminum. Yes, I've heard that as well
Yeah,
that there can be that link.
yeah,
Well, I have to tell you, Kendra, like you have given me so, and hopefully those watchings, so much great information. I learned a lot. I think sometimes also we forget about like the science behind certain things, and I'm a nerd forever, so I love hearing like
yeah,
molecule breakdowns and like the deeper reasons for why things are just like the surface. I think for me, having that level of understanding makes it more impactful. So I can't thank you enough for bringing that to us and talking about it with us. Uh,
yeah. You're
Tell that
welcome.
Kendra is
You're
so
welcome.
knowledgeable and
Thank you.
so full of knowledge, and you are. So, thank you for joining us. Before I let you go, though, the show's called What's on Your Mind. So, what's on your mind the most, or what do you want to leave on the minds of the viewers?
What do I want to leave with regard to this topic, two things. One, give yourself grace. You do not have to do an immediate change of everything overnight. Pick one or two things and just make it gradual, but do make that change because when your body is under stress, it does impact your mental health. We have to keep in mind that we are a whole person. We're not parts. We're a whole person. So just give your whole person love, give your body love, take a break. take a break and yeah, rest your brain. So that's what I would leave with the audience. Take care of yourselves.
Perfect. And where can they find you? Your website is at the bottom, but is there
Yeah.
anywhere else?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Kendra Moore Life. Also on YouTube, on Kendra Moore Life. On YouTube, I have over 100 and maybe now close to over 120, but over 100 natural health and wellness DIY videos. So you can go on there, you can check out videos. You can, of course, contact me on either of those platforms. And then my website, more-life.com. I have natural health and wellness products on that as well. And catch Izzy and I every other Thursday on Feel Good Talk as well. So you can reach out to us on this channel or reach out to me.
Yep, they'll be on. And their show is great. Like I mentioned, I was on it last week. Thank you again, all, for tuning in for our first official episode over here on Feel
Yay!
Good Talk.
Thank
It
you.
was a good
And
one.
thank you. Obviously, you've done this many, many times before, but I really felt comfortable and I'm excited for your show.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you joining me and helping me kick things off. I
Absolutely.
will be back every Thursday, 6 o'clock live. If you need to find me, and if you need to find me in between, I am always on Instagram, that African butterfly, oversharing details of my life and my stories. But you can always find me there and see what I'm up to as well. I'm on Facebook, that African butterfly, and YouTube, that African butterfly as well, or just my regular page, thatafricanbutterfly.com. Try to keep it simple for you all, just
That's
like
right. Be consistent.
consistency. But thank you all so much for joining me. I thank you again, Kendra, and I'll see you all again
Thank
next week.
you.